Okay, let's be honest. Have you ever looked in the mirror and wished you had dimples? Well, today we're diving into a really fascinating method that claims you can actually create them naturally. Yup, no surgery, just some very specific facial exercises. So let's break this popular technique down and see what it's all about.
So, what is the big deal with dimples anyway? According to our source, it's actually pretty simple. They're just seen as one of those features that can make you look younger, cuter, and, yeah, even a little bit sexier. It's that little pop of charm that a lot of people just find totally appealing.
All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. The original source has about 12 different exercises, which can feel like a lot. To make it super clear, we've bundled them into 3 main phases. First, we'll chat about why people are so into dimples. Then we'll get into phase 1, release and relax. After that, phase 2 is all about waking up those muscles. And finally, phase 3, where things get intense. Isolate and press. We'll wrap it all up with a look at the 2-week challenge they propose.
So what's the big idea here? Well, the whole practice is built on the premise that you can naturally train the muscles in your cheeks to form dimples. You can kind of think of it like face yoga, but with a very, very specific goal in mind.
The approach really has 2 parts. First, you've got to release any tension you're holding in your cheek muscles with a gentle massage. That's kind of like the warm-up. Then comes part 2, these really targeted exercises that are designed to strengthen and define the exact spot where you want that dimple to show up.
Let's jump into phase 1, release and relax. See, before you can even think about building up those dimple-defining muscles, you have to get the area ready. This whole phase is just about gentle massage techniques to loosen everything up in your cheeks.
For this first phase, it's pretty simple, just 2 main moves. You start with a light pinching massage right on the spot you're targeting. Then, you're going to take your index and middle fingers and follow up with a nice, slow, circular massage. The source really stresses that both of these need to be done very gently. This is all about prepping the muscle, not fighting it. Okay, now that the area is prepped and relaxed, it's time for phase 2, activation. These next few exercises are more dynamic. They're all about getting the muscles around your lips and cheeks firing and giving you a bit more control over them.
All right, so let's look at the exercises for this phase. You start by making pursed lips and just moving them from side to side. Then you've got the balloon face, where you puff your cheeks up with air and then suck them in. And last, the cheek shrink. Just suck in your cheeks and hold it. The source calls these moves super effective, but, they also say they can be a little tricky to get the hang of at first.
And that brings us to phase 3. This is definitely the most focused and probably the most intense part of the whole routine. The goal here is to isolate that exact dimple spot and apply direct, steady pressure while you're holding some pretty specific facial expressions. The secret sauce here seems to be the combination of tensing the muscle and then adding that external pressure. So you'll do a few different holds. First, you shrink your cheeks and press in with your fingertips. Then you tuck your lips in, kind of lift the corners of your mouth up and press again. And finally, you show your upper teeth and press gently.
And just when you think you've got it all down, things get a little weird. The source introduces a pretty unique tool to help you get even more focus and pressure on that spot. A couple of pencils.
Okay, so as you can see, this technique is very specific. While you're sucking your cheeks in, you use the erasers of 2 pencils to press right into that dimple area. The second version has you stick your lips to your teeth and then use the pencils to slowly push into that same spot. It is all about applying really targeted pressure. So what did the creator of this routine have to say about this part? Exactly this. Oh my God, this is so hard but super effective. The pencil press is definitely framed as the toughest part of the workout, but also the most powerful. It's kind of like the grand finale of the whole sequence.
So you've seen all the moves, but what does it actually take to see results? At least according to the source. Let's take a look at the commitment and the timeline they're talking about. The big number here is 2. The source claims that if you really stick with this routine, day in and day out, you might start to see some changes after a minimum of 2 weeks.
So you think you're up for the challenge? Here's the daily breakdown. We're talking about a 6-minute routine that you've got to do every single day. The source also strongly suggests taking before and after photos to see if there's any progress. And maybe, most importantly, they say you have to try and have fun with it and enjoy the process.
So there you have it. We've broken down the method, the exercises, the whole shebang. The source material presents this as a totally viable, natural way to get dimples. And it all boils down to one pretty huge question, right? Could a little 6-minute routine done every day actually change the structure of your face?
That's really the core claim we're left to think about.